Italian F-35B fighters landing and operating from the deck of HMS Prince of Wales during Exercise Neptune Strike 2025 represent more than a bilateral training event. They mark a significant demonstration of Europe's growing capacity to project fifth-generation airpower from the sea, independent of U.S. carriers, and reflect NATO's steady shift toward deeper interoperability in contested maritime environments. This deployment, unfolding over the Mediterranean as part of the British Carrier Strike Group's long-range Operation Highmast, underscores how London and Rome are aligning their strategic, industrial, and operational priorities around the F-35B as the centerpiece of future coalition air operations. The imagery released by the Royal Navy and NATO tells a story of progress that has taken over a decade to reach maturity. Italy's F-35B program, part of a 90-aircraft national order spanning both A and B variants, was conceived in the early 2010s as a way to rejuvenate Italian naval aviation while integrating the Aeronautica Militare and Marina Militare into a shared STOVL capability. This joint management arrangement remains unusual inside NATO, where services typically maintain their own fixed-wing fleets. Yet Italy's approach has produced a flexible and scalable F-35B force that can embark on multiple carriers, including the Italian flagship Cavour and now, increasingly, British Queen Elizabeth-class carriers. By deploying aboard HMS Prince of Wales, Rome signals that its STOVL fleet is intended not only for national expeditionary missions, but also for multinational carrier operations across the alliance. The platform itself is central to this narrative. The F-35B Lightning II remains the only aircraft in service worldwide that combines stealth shaping, advanced sensor fusion, supersonic speed, and short takeoff/vertical landing capability. Its N/APG-81 AESA radar, electro-optical targeting system, and ASQ-239 electronic warfare suite, and secure data links allow it to detect, classify, and engage threats long before legacy platforms can even build situational awareness. With an internal weapons combat radius approaching 500 nautical miles, the jet provides a flexible strike and defensive counter-air tool for maritime commanders. On a British deck, Italian and British pilots can execute identical launch, recovery, and maintenance procedures, allowing both nations to interchange aircraft and personnel with minimal friction, exactly the kind of integration NATO aviation planners have sought for decades. For HMS Prince of Wales, the integration of Italian jets comes at the end of an ambitious Indo-Pacific voyage that included port visits, multi-domain exercises, and prolonged operations far from home waters. The carrier, displacing around 65,000 tons and capable of hosting up to 36 F-35Bs, is designed around high-tempo power projection. Its dual-island arrangement separates navigation and flight operations, improving redundancy and flight deck efficiency. The current air wing includes roughly 24 British F-35Bs, now augmented by the Italian detachment. This combined air component supports sortie generation cycles, STOVL landing patterns, and shared maintenance practices that create a more resilient and more scalable European carrier aviation ecosystem. With around 4,500 British personnel on deployment, including sailors, Royal Marines, RAF aircrew, and Army detachments, the strike group is structured not just for short demonstrations but for sustained forward presence. Neptune Strike itself is designed to test exactly this kind of multinational coherence. Under NATO Tactical Command, HMS Prince of Wales operates alongside the Italian carrier Cavour, participating in complex scenarios that include maritime strike, air defense, and land attack missions. F-35Bs contribute fused data to Alliance command and control networks, reinforcing NATO's distributed sensing approach, where each aircraft becomes a flying intelligence gathering and targeting node. This blended picture is then exploited by surface combatants, submarines, long-range patrol aircraft, and other assets participating in the exercise. In the Mediterranean, where Russian, Middle Eastern, and North African military activities intersect, this shared situational awareness remains an essential deterrent element and a reassurance signal to regional partners. The political symbolism of Italian jets operating from a British carrier should not be underestimated. For several years, Europe has been criticized for lacking credible blue-water aviation capabilities, especially given the United States' global commitments and growing pressure across the Indo-Pacific. Exercises like Neptune Strike counter this narrative by demonstrating that European allies can field modern carrier strike groups, integrate their most advanced aircraft, and sustain operations far from home shores. Italy and the UK, two nations with deep naval traditions, are emerging as the Central European pillars of this effort, joined increasingly by other NATO partners who rely on Allied carrier decks for joint training and operational surges. Moreover, the timing of this deployment reinforces a broader shift in European strategy. After months in the Indo-Pacific, HMS Prince of Wales shows that European navies intend to maintain recurring engagement in a region increasingly central to global trade and security. The ability to host Italian F-35Bs during such a voyage means that future coalition deployments could include mixed aviation groups, providing flexibility and political messaging while reducing the burden on any single nation. For Italy, whose defense posture is traditionally centered around the Mediterranean and North Africa, such a deployment signals growing willingness to operate beyond its immediate neighborhood in support of broader alliance interests. From a capability development perspective, the deployment validates over a decade of investment by both nations into the F-35B ecosystem. For Italy, the program, costing an estimated €14 billion as communicated to Parliament, was often debated domestically. However, the ability to participate seamlessly in advanced carrier operations alongside the UK demonstrates the long-term payoff of acquiring a fifth-generation STOVL capability. For the UK, integrating Allied aircraft into the Queen Elizabeth-class design was an early objective. Seeing this concept work in real operations strengthens the case for maintaining a robust carrier strike posture despite budgetary pressures. Ultimately, Italian F-35Bs joining HMS Prince of Wales reflect a convergence of national strategies, technological investments, and alliance priorities. They show that European partners can operate the same aircraft from the same deck, under the same command structure, while conducting advanced maritime and air operations. They also show that NATO's future airpower is increasingly networked, where each platform amplifies the effectiveness of the others. And they send a clear signal, from the Mediterranean to the Indo-Pacific, that Europe is not retreating from global security responsibilities but is instead building the tools needed to remain a credible and strategic actor. In this sense, Exercise Neptune Strike 2025 is not simply a rehearsal. It is an unfolding glimpse of a future where European carriers routinely deploy together, where Allied air wings can be mixed and matched as needed, and where the F-35B forms a shared backbone of coalition maritime aviation. The presence of Italian jets aboard HMS Prince of Wales demonstrates that this future is already taking shape on the decks of NATO's newest carriers.